Welcome back to the Marquee Models Spring League Cup. Today we have Andy King against Seb Symonds. Andy on the left is playing Zoroark Lucario and Seb is playing Zoroark Golisopod. So it's going to be interesting to have a look at these two different Zoroark variants to see which one comes out on top, with obviously Golisopod being the already standard variant, which has seen quite a bit of success, with Andy trying out and piloting the Lucario to see if we can find some sort of consistency with this list. So there we go, starting off, Seb starts with a Tapu Lele, and Andy starts off with a Riolu and a Zoroark. So Andy takes a mulligan, starts off with that first hand Bridget, which is your ideal turn 1 supporter for this deck, so you can get all of your Pokemon basics out from the bench. So I believe he's possibly going to go for one Zoroark and Riolu, so there you go. And then let's see what he's going to do from here, because obviously now he's played his support, he hasn't got much else to do, he can't evolve this turn. The only possibility is he can attach for turn, but there we go, we see him just passing. So Seb draws his card for turn, and I believe he gets a DCE onto the Tapu Lele, but he's going to have to end, so not a turn 1 Bridget from Seb here, so this is not ideal for him. I mean, looking at him, how he was playing throughout the entire day, 9 times out of 10, he was able to get that turn 1 Bridget, but obviously out of them 10 goes, this obviously is the actual game. He doesn't get the turn 1 Bridget, so here he has to N, puts the DC onto the Lele, and see what he comes up with. So let's see what Seb can do with his hand off of this N. So I believe that's a Zoroark and a Tapu Koko in his hand, and a Wimpod, so down goes probably 2 of the 3. And he puts 40 damage on the Riolu, so slowly taking hits with that Riolu, and wow, so Andy here being able to play down 3 Zoroark GXs straight away turn 2, that's absolutely insane. And I mean, he's now got 3 trades all ready to go, so that's up to 6 cards he can draw for turn. So already he's all guns blazing, firing away, whereas Seb's sat at the moment with no sort of real developed board state. So Andy's used all 3 of his trades. Let's see what he can do from here. So he evolves the Lucario, Cynthia's, so obviously he must have whiffed the energy off of the trades that he was able to get from the Zoroarks. So obviously if he gets a strong energy and a choice band onto here, he should be able to take the knockout onto the Tapu Lele in the active position, leaving him in a very, very good position for the rest of the game. But let's see what he draws. So I believe that's an Eva Soda in his hand, and I think he's actually with the energy. So unluckily Andy here hasn't got that 170 to hit the Lele. So here Seb draws for his turn, and let's see what he can do to develop his own board state now, because Andy sort of let him in to be able to start coming and start developing his own game state, because of the fact he missed out the knockout onto the Tapu Lele. So here Seb's going to place a DC onto the Zoroark and Cynthia into his hand, into his deck. So Cynthia obviously allows him to get 6 cards from his deck once he shuffles his hand into his deck. So let's see what he is able to get. So here at the moment Andy's in a really good strong position here with 3 Zoroark on turn 2, which I've never seen before in my life. So here Seb's got himself a Zoroark, so he can start at least cracking through some trades. So let's see what he's going to do here, whether he's just going to hit into the Tapu Lele or if he's going to trade. He's eyeing up the Golisopod, so he's going to trade the Golisopod, hook himself up with 2 more cards. He's already attached a turn on the Zoroark anyway, so I believe he drew a Grass Energy there, so he's not able to attach it to the Wimpod. So I believe he's probably going to hit another 80, and then possibly bait Andy into using his GX move early with the extra 40 damage. So here's a choice band, so there you go. So on there is 110 damage. So here let's see what Andy wants to do. He's obviously already evolved up the Lucario, so here he has 4 Zoroarks out turn 3, which is absolutely insane. So that's now 8 cards he can draw, extra cards he can draw per turn, and still play a supporter, which once that's ready and rolling, I mean, Andy's got a lot of chances to hit energies now. He's got lots of chances to hit his GX Pokemon, like the Lucario that you can probably play on the Riolu, which then he might even be able to get a knockout onto the Lele if he's able to find like a Guzma to swap it through, maybe attack into the Zoroark. So there's lots of options Andy can do with having so many cards at his disposal. So let's see what Andy's going to do. So here he attaches, I believe that's a Choice Band onto the Zoroark. Not the Zoroark, the Lucario, sorry. Trades away of Harlow City, which he uses his last trade. He then attaches the DCE to the Lucario, and then GX moves onto the Lele, which here he hasn't turned over his GX move, with GX counter, sorry. So obviously we need to make sure he turns that over for the next round, for the next time. But obviously they know he's used his GX move, it's just the fact that obviously the counter hasn't changed over. So here Seb puts up his Zoroark GX with a DCE on. So all he needs here is a Choice Band and 2 bench energies to be able to take the knockout. And if not, he will have to try and take the knockout with a Golisopod with First Impression with that energy he does have in his hand. So here Seb Mallows for 2 different cards. So trades away the grass energy itself. So he's possibly looking to use the... He's possibly looking to find some basics. So there he goes for a Golisopod and a double colourless energy. So those are the 2 cards he gets from the Puzzle of Time. Attaches the grass to the Wind Pod, retreats into Golisopod, and First Impression for the knockout on the Lucario. So here they've been able to trade KOs, so hopefully here Andy can find a way to come and take a knockout onto the active Golisopod. But here he puts up the Zoroark, so let's see what he goes into attack with. So I don't feel that Lucario will be able to take a one-hit KO onto a Golisopod, but if there's a way of being able to Guzma up the Zoroark, that could be Andy's way of taking a knockout this turn and going 2 prizes up further. So obviously with this Golisopod in the active, it's 210 HP, it's quite bulky. Obviously it's got the attack armor press, which obviously does 100 damage and does 20 less, takes 20 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon. So here comes the Lucario, here comes the Choice Band. Has he got the strong? So he's got the strong energy. But let's see. So he's going to Guzma up the Zoroark. So here, Andy's leaving Seb in such a really tight position here because of the fact that he's not able to trade at all this turn. But let's see what Seb can do. So here he Bridgets for 3 Zoroarks, which hopefully he can keep on the board, so he's able to actually develop some of his own ball states. So here he armor presses into Lucario, which means that the Golisopod takes 20 less damage from any of Andy's Pokemon. So here he trades once an Evo Soda, which obviously he doesn't need because he's been able to get all 4 Zoroarks out. He's going to attach a DCE. He's going to go for the knockout now. I'm not too keen on trying to go for the knockout on the Zoroark because Seb's always going to be able to try to get up a Zoroark, or he's going to try to make sure that he's got a Zoroark for next go. That's why he was able to get 3 of them out from his deck. So personally I would prefer to see Andy try and take some damage onto the Golisopod so it softens it up for next turn. So here Seb draws for turn, and Seb's just having a little think about what he wants to do. So does he have a Zoroark into hand? So here he has a DCE, and in comes a Cynthia. So Andy's down to 1 prize now, so if he's not able to find another Zoroark, or maybe 2 Zoroarks, then obviously Andy will be able to take easy prize cards. So here there's an Evo Soda, so Seb uses the Evo Soda to find himself a Zoroark GX, shuffling his hand away, shuffling his deck away, sorry, to be able to do that, and then he's probably going to trade once. Looks like he's possibly going to... Oh, he's got a Zoroark in hand anyway, so he does have a Zoroark in hand, so he trades the Oranguru for a second turn. So that's his first trade actually of the game, of the turn, sorry, and he trades again, another Bridget. So let's see what he can do here. So I believe he could possibly look to... Okay, so he's going to actually damage the Zoroark GX with 100 with the armor press. So here, Andy needs to try and find himself a way to get some more damage onto one of the Zoroarks onto the bench to be able to take his last prize. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to do so. So here, possibly could have found an Acerola with that to pick up the Lucario, which had the damage on. He's going to then just hit into it, which... don't believe the maths is correct here, because obviously it does 30 damage plus the two 20s from the strong energy, so that's obviously an extra 40. With the choice band it's 100, so he's actually doing 200 damage here, so he's just missed out by 10 HP, so not very good for Andy, because he's allowed Seb to have that extra 10 HP left, and obviously he's not been able to take the knockout, but obviously he's been able to get around the Golisopod. So here Seb's trying to think about what he can do. I believe he has an Acerola in hand, so he should ideally Acerola up the Zoroark so it's not able to be damaged for the next turn, and then he can then start going in with the Golisopod to armor press again, I believe, for the knockout if he has a choice band to attach from hand. So here Seb's just wondering what he wants to do. So let's have a look. So he's gonna possibly trade away a Parallel City, and he's drawn the Max Potion, so he's probably going to use the Max Potion on these active Zoroark, so it doesn't take any damage. So here, completely changes the game having that Max Potion in his hand, because he's able to actually attach now a DCE to the Zoroark that was in the active position, and possibly look to get a KO if he can get enough basics, but I think that's a choice band, so even if he has the one basic here, he will be able to get the KO onto the Lucario, because it does 110 damage with the 100 already on it. It will get the knockout onto the active Lucario on Andy's side of the field. So here, Seb's bringing it back now in terms of the way that he's getting his play style up again. He's being able to take knockouts, even though he struggled right at the start to find bench Pokemon and to start getting damage away. So this Golisopod on the bench could be coming through in a minute and doing some serious damage against Andy, because all that needs is a choice band and a Guzma to be able to knock out the Tapu Lele on the bench with a GX move, so Crossing Cut GX. So here Andy promotes a damaged Zoroark, so here he might look to Acerola this up so it's not damage, but I feel that if Seb does have the combination of cards he needs, and I'm sure he'll probably find them with the amount of deck he has left, then there could be a other issue in terms of possibly finding them cards, but with the trades that he's got, should be able to find like the Guzma and the choice band. So here Andy does Acerola up the Zoroark in the active, and then he attaches the DCE to that Zoroark in the active. So here they're just playing for 120 trades, because obviously it's a 2-hit game. There's the choice band onto the Zoroark as well, places down a Zoroark, and I believe in hand he could possibly have the means to actually go and grab a Guzma and a strong energy with the Lucario to take the knockout onto the Zoroark on the bench. So this could be a crucial turn here for Seb, so that he's able to actually try to find what he needs to be able to take the knockout onto this Tapu Lele for the game. So Seb's looking through the discard pile to see how many puzzles of time Andy's used, how many Guzmas he's used, just to try and get a sort of good idea of what he needs to do to be able to try to win the game, or try to prevent Andy from winning it next turn if he can't take the knockout. So here Seb is able to find the Tapu Lele, so you could possibly Guzma the Lele up for the Golisopod. So if he does that, then obviously he'll be able to take his 2 prizes, but it's whether he has that choice band to be able to take them prizes is the other issue for Seb here. So he's having a look through the discard as well. He's taking he's paying very good attention to his discard to see what Andy does have, what he doesn't have, and to try and develop a game state where he can possibly win this from having 2 prizes to the 1. So he's having a little bit of a think about that. So let's see what Seb's going to do here. So he's having a bit of a think, because obviously with Andy being able to take a KO next turn, if he leaves the Zoroark in the active, he's got to find a way to be able to start taking KOs this turn, otherwise he might end up having the knockout for next turn, or trying to get his Zoroark out the active. So and down goes the Lele, so 1 to tag in, so he's going to see what he needs to get. So he's going to thin his deck out a little bit more, so he can possibly grab a Puzzle of Time for later on, or another sort of card from his deck that he may need. So he still has his trades available to him this turn, I believe. So he's going to trade possibly in a second. So no, he's just going to end. So take Andy down to 1 card. So this is now really disruptive from Seb, because obviously Andy's got all the cards that he's got in his hand, and he's now putting them back into his deck. So I believe that Andy's hand was in fact bigger than his actual deck. So here Seb pays the retreat cost to retreat out the Zoroark. So here he's asking Andy to try and find that Guzma into his deck. But whether Andy has the Guzma in his deck or not is another issue. So here Seb's gone, hey, can you try and hunt me down? Can you try and find me? Because this Zoroark's going to go down if you can find that Guzma. So here Andy's checking his own discard to see what he's got in there. So he knows that he's already played 2 Puzzle at a time. He's going to trade once the Strong Energy to draw 2 cards. He's going to trade again a Riolu to get another Zoroark. So here he's got all 4 Zoroarks up again and ready to go. So in goes the Tapu Lele as a trade. So Andy's really low on his deck size now, so he's got to try to find a ways and a means here to try and draw what he needs. So let's have a look what he's going to do. So I believe he's going to trade probably 1 more time here before he finally tries to play a supporter. Yeah, so he trades the Mew EX, so last trade. He does have a Float Stone, I believe that's a Cynthia in hand. I think that's another Riolu in hand. Here is the Float Stone and a DCE on there. So as you can see, Andy's only got 5 cards left in his deck. So by the next turn, he should be able to trade through all of his deck. So here he's trying to find possibly the Guzma that he needs for the game. Which don't know whether he's going to be able to find it for the next turn. So here Andy's down to 1 card left at the bottom of his deck. And obviously he now can't play a supporter this turn. So here Seb has to try to get the KO himself, but that N from his Seb's last turn has really caused him the game there. So here Seb has the Guzma for the game on the benched Zoroark with the damage, and there you go. Andy shows that he's got a Puzzle of Time in his prize cards, which makes him disrupts his game. So he wasn't able to get that puzzle for the Guzma in his discard pile. But anyways guys, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you guys soon. Thank you very much.